Hey, what's up everybody? This is a first generation Pixel phone. In order to replace the battery or work on the motherboard, you need to remove the screen. So I'm going to cover those three items in this video. I have my Wagner Heat Gun on low and I'm heating up the top of the screen while waving it side to side for about 20 seconds. Then I insert the corner of my razor blade where the glass meets the body of the phone. Stay away from the camera so you don't damage it. I'm inserting a guitar pick under the razor blade. I'm pressing the pick under the glass while removing the razor blade. If your screen is already damaged, you don't have to be gentle removing the screen. I'm going to be gentle in this video because I want to reuse the screen. Soak a Q-tip with alcohol and rub alcohol under the screen through the crack and the pick. Squeeze the Q-tip to get more fluid out. Now slide the pick across the top to the right of the screen. I'm adding more alcohol at the corner. The sides of the screen has thin bezels. I want you to notice the orientation of the pick and note that I'm using the long side of the pick to barely go under the glass. I'm trying to avoid stabbing the LCD screen with my pick. Slide down. The screen has a lot of adhesive at the top, so I'm inserting a second pick to keep the top of the screen separated. More alcohol. Slide down. I added another pick to help keep the screen separated. Be careful when you turn the corner. If you turn the pick to the left too soon, you can damage the screen. I'm adding more alcohol because it's getting harder to slide the pick. Slide the pick across the bottom of the screen. I moved the third pick to the bottom to help keep the bottom of the screen separated from the phone. More alcohol. Slide the pick. More alcohol. Slide the pick. There's still a lot of adhesive at the top and bottom of the screen. I'm adding heat to soften the adhesive. Now I'm using a suction ring to pull the screen away from the phone while I cut the adhesive with my pick. As you pull up on the screen, you'll see the adhesive that you need to cut away with your pick. Don't bend the screen this much, you can crack it this way. Try to keep the suction ring closer to the center of the screen to avoid breaking the screen. The bottom of the screen is now completely separated. Cut the adhesives that you see. Now the top of the screen has a lot of adhesive and I'm going to slowly cut away at it using the pick. I'm relocating the suction ring to the top of the screen. I should have just added more alcohol here. I used the pick to continue separating the top of the screen. The top is now separated, but be careful with the ribbon cable that attaches the screen to the phone. Set the screen face down with the bottom of the screen close to the connector. Remove the two T5 screws on the connector bracket. Pry the bracket out. Pry the connector out. It's easiest if you go under the cable to disconnect it. The midframe is attached with about 7 black T5 screws and 1 silver T5 screw. Remove those screws. Towards the bottom of the phone, on the edges, there are small gaps where you can insert a tool and pry up on the midframe. I used a razor blade to pop it up and then slid a pick under the razor. I struggled to pop the rest of the midframe off with guitar picks. It was a lot easier to use a plastic card. Lift the midframe, but don't pull it off because there's still a sensor attached at the top of the phone. Unplug the sensor and gently lift it from the tape. Before touching anything else, you want to disconnect the battery. You can also release the connector that goes to the power and volume buttons. I believe this white cable is for the charging port. Go underneath it and disconnect it. Now disconnect the two antennas connected to the motherboard. Then remove the two silver screws holding down the motherboard. Disconnect the ribbon cable from the audio jack. Remove the audio jack. Remove the SIM card tray. Disconnect the front-facing camera and remove it. The black antenna wire is clamped to the motherboard. Free it from the small clamps. There's still one cable that's connected behind the motherboard. Carefully lift the motherboard from the top of the phone to expose the fingerprint sensor cable that's underneath. There's a yellow tape holding down the connector. Lift up on the tape and disconnect the cable from the motherboard. The motherboard is free now. If you want to, you can also remove this sensor attached to the motherboard as well as a rear-facing camera. To remove the battery, use a plastic tool and some alcohol. I used a plastic card. Put some alcohol on the sides of the battery because that's where the adhesive strips are located. I have a dropper, but you can use a Q-tip and squeeze it to release the alcohol. You'll have to wedge your card in from the sides and go under the battery to release it. Take your time, you don't want to damage the battery. And release one side at a time. I was able to save the screen, but this battery icon means that the battery is dead and the phone did not want to turn on anymore. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.